What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again, and I got Banana back with me again.
So
We're back here to do more Life is Strange. Well, the last episode of Life is Strange, because life is strange, and we're doing episode 5, Polarized. Um, so yeah, this is a pretty insane episode, and I feel like a good ending to the game. What do you think?
it's pretty good.
Pretty good ending to
Pretty
the game.
sad. Pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely pretty pretty insane, this episode. So, um, so it starts off, we're in the dark room because after the last episode, Chloe gets shot. We get drugged by Jefferson, and now we're in the dark room trying to escape. What'd you think about being in the dark room and all that?
Still creepy.
Yeah. So, you're Max, you're here in the dark room, kind of in restraints, and so you kind of have to figure out, you're wiggling and all that. You see Victoria is there, if you told her. Oh yeah, this guy told her too. Which is interesting. Were you expecting Victoria to be there in the dark room because you told her? Or did you think that if you wouldn't have told her, she would, you know what I mean? You probably thought it was going to go the opposite way, didn't you?
I thought she wouldn't be there.
Yeah. But they did a thing where you have to be really mean to Victoria to actually save her, which is funny. It's not funny, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of ironic. So, yeah, hold on. So yeah, you're doing there's a lot of like puzzles like this where you have to like kind of figure out what to do in this episode. So you pull the thing closer. You get into this photo where you go back and you get to... This is finally where we kind of get to see Jefferson being really, really creepy. What was your kind of first reaction to Jefferson being, like, super creepy like this?
Pretty creepy.
Yeah. But, like, what was going on in your head, like, around that time? Like, you knew Jefferson was the villain, right? But, like,
Yeah.
you're like... Like, did you think it was going to be this bad? Of, like... him being like this psychotic and like all messed up like this?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be.
You did? You actually
Yeah.
anticipated this? I was
mean,
kind of like... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like,
Yeah, you go first.
obviously he has this fucking creepy ass studio
Yeah.
in his basement in his barn, and you gotta think the guy's messed up somehow in the head.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about his motive where he's trying to capture the moment where purity and innocence becomes like fear and darkness? What do you think about that?
God.
You think it's pretty messed up, or do
mean-
you like, can you understand where he's coming from, or is that just like too far beyond, like, that's too psychotic to even understand?
By far, that's really psychotic.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I like I understand what he's getting at, but also, like, he's gone too far with it, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like there's no way that's ethical. You can't really do that ethically, like trying to capture that moment before fear and then the moment past fear and all of that. That's like something I don't think... It's one of those things you shouldn't fuck with as people, you know, because then... That's just going too far. That's really when shit becomes evil at that point, you know? So yeah, but, like, he's really... what I like about Mr. Jefferson is he's really crafty and he kind of has everything figured out. Like he's saying here, he has the place under 24-hour surveillance, so it's like, yeah, I mean, we should have figured that. So he knew exactly... He was, like, 2 steps ahead of us the whole time, and he used Nathan's phone to manipulate you to believe that was Nathan, but then, you know, so he had you like totally on the wrong track. Like that's pretty crazy. What do you think about that? Like him being so like ahead of the game and so manipulative and like,
I mean,
like the mastermind, you know, like in the shadows though.
I mean, you can tell he's been doing this for a pretty long time.
Yeah, definitely. And that, yeah, he mentions that too. He brings that up where he's like, how how many people he's like gone after and stuff. And you actually even talked about that in the last episode. That was like your theory. I don't think they ever really get into that specifically, but I still like your theory that like all those books were like from all over and all time, you know, that he's been doing this and whatever. I think that stands really well. Because like if he was just doing it here, he would have gotten caught eventually. I think they even kind of bring that up here too at some point. But I kind of remember this moment, like first seeing this, and it's like this whole situation seems like really inescapable. You know, did you have that feeling where you're just like, I don't know how Max is gonna get the fuck out of this situation, and like I am like scared for her, or like
I felt that.
I felt what Max was feeling, like really helpless and like, you know, kind of afraid for her because of just the situation we were in and our such limited options, and there was like nothing we could do. And I thought that was like really, I don't know if, like obviously that's intentional and they're trying to get that across, but like I just thought that was really well done. Like you really feel Max's situation and her desperation and her hopelessness there. You felt that too?
Yeah.
Because like, man, it's yeah. You really feel like you're captured, and Mr. Jefferson is like totally in control of the situation. It's crazy. Yeah, so she like pushes the ink or whatever over the photos, or over the folder, so you can get, yeah, the drugs, that's what it is. Yeah, right. Over the folder, so you can get more pictures there, so you can get back in time. And actually, this is where you get to talk to Victoria when she's in the dark room there. What did you think about that? Like Victoria kind of like being really scared and like being really just real and open about how scared she was.
It was a weird change of pace.
Yeah.
Because usually, you know, she's trying to be this badass, you know.
Yeah, she wasn't like putting on a mask. She was just being very genuine. I think that's what I appreciate about Victoria here. But that's also why I think it hits so hard. You seeing Victoria so like scared and hopeless, because like she's not usually like that. She's so confident and like, you know, so standoffish, and now she's like, Max, you gotta do something, you gotta save us, and she's just like crying and shit, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, this is really fucking different for Victoria. It's crazy. It's very different. And she's apologizing and shit. It's crazy. I just thought that's a nice kind of thing. Not nice, but it's like, it's nice that she's being genuine. And she finally realizes the gravity of the situation. It's not just like something you can get yourself out of. It's like, it's fucked up. So here it is. Or is this? Yeah, exactly. There we go. Anyway, so right, so she goes to Mr. Jefferson because you tell her to go to somebody who she trusts, and she trusts Mr. Jefferson, which ends up being the mistake. She's all like, oh, he was acting weird and shit, and it's like, at this point we're like, yeah, of course, he's a fucking psychopath. So, and then Max is just like totally like, we're gonna get revenge, I'm gonna like kill this motherfucker. And he kind of tells you how he's, yeah, this is where he kind of tells you, I think, his motivation and whatnot. He tells you about Rachel and how she died to Nathan. Did you think that Mr. Jefferson killed Rachel, or did you think it was Nathan, or what was your thought there, and how did you react to that? Like you said, it was an overdose in the last episode. That was your guess, and that was spot on. You did good with that.
I mean, it was an overdose, so
yeah,
by Nathan.
Yeah, but do you think that's how it was going to turn out, or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you looked at the pictures, there was a picture of Nathan and Amber kind of like laying there.
Yeah, but they were laying there together. That could have meant that Mr. Jefferson did it.
I mean, cameras have timers.
Nathan. Yeah, so what do you think, he posed in that picture? I don't think that was posed by him. I think Mr. Jefferson did that. But like, I thought it was interesting that like Nathan is still has blood on his hands in some sense. You know, he was the one who killed Rachel Amber, but he didn't want to do it. I know we're skipping ahead a bit, but what do you think about the scene where you're in the car and you get Nathan's voicemail and he's like confessing to you and he's like, everyone used me and this is all fucked up and I didn't even mean to do any of that, you know, and all of that.
That was a really sad moment.
Yeah, I thought that was really emotional. I think it shows to Nathan's character, like you were saying before, he has mental problems, psychologically. Issues. Yeah, he just never had the right upbringing or the help that he needed to really get there, and everyone used him, and the world was always kind of shitting on him because of his mental problems and whatnot. And so I think it goes to show what that can be like in those situations there. And I think that makes him a pretty sympathetic character at the end of the day, which is not how I thought his character was going to go to begin with. I thought, you know, oh, this kid's an asshole, but like, it's just interesting. Like, everyone is semi-sympathetic, except for like Mr. Jefferson. I think he's probably pretty irredeemable, but I don't know. What do you think about Nathan and his character, his mental issues and whatnot?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You were saying about it earlier.
I don't remember what I said.
Well, I don't know. Just like how you were like sympathetic to his mental issues and whatnot. You said like schizophrenia before. I don't know if that's what he has or like what. They never really go into it, but like
They never do.
You know, that's very likely. That could be. Actually, I know that somebody like analyzed what he had. Like they figured out what drugs he had or whatever. Like not drugs, but like his medicine or whatever. They figured out what that was and like what that was used for, and then they diagnosed him off of that. But so I thought that was really interesting. I don't remember. It's probably a Geek Remix video or something. But anyway, so yeah, Max is still trapped here. She's just telling him how evil he is and whatnot. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then you
obviously
you use the photo in your journal to go back to the first day when you're in the classroom, and then let's see, so she warns David and all of that, which is great. That makes perfect sense. And that ends up turning out really well for her. She enters her photo into the contest. What did you think about this? And did you think this was going to work out or whatnot? Did you think this is how things were finally going to get on track and be resolved or whatnot?
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah. What did you think about when she entered her photo and all that? Do you think she was going to win the contest?
Well, yeah, because Jefferson was always like, you know, oh, you have a gift and all that.
Yeah. And then he's even kind of creepy at the end of this scene where you have to talk to him, and he's like, you know, oh, well, I haven't seen everyone else's photos yet, but like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, yours is pretty good. Like, we might be spending the time together in San Francisco. And she's like, or maybe only one of us will, Mr. Jefferson. She's like being so standoffish the whole time because she actually knows his true motives, but he's just like, what's going on with, he's like, you know, weirded out by that, which is kind of funny. So yeah, it's really interesting that you go back and then it looks like everything's fine. Like, you're like, okay. Yep. Then you're on the plane, and so you're headed to San Francisco. You're still you're in between realities, so it's still like, okay, is this like permanent or like what's going on here? Have I fixed everything? Am I here finally? What did you what was, actually, let me ask you this. What was the point where you knew that everything wasn't okay?
When she had her first nosebleed on the airplane.
On the airplane, okay.
Yep.
And then you're like, what did you think then? What did you think was happening then?
Well, obviously the storm was still coming.
Yeah. So you thought about the storm at that
Yeah.
moment. Okay. So yeah, but like, I remember when I was first on this plane and I'm just like, is this like, are we actually is this okay? Is this like gonna happen? And I'm just like, what I thought was the plane's gonna crash or something like, that's what everyone always said, like, every time we played this part, like, they're like, something's gonna happen to this fucking plane. It's not a good, it's a good thing it's not a good thing that we're sitting on this plane. This is not good, but no, you actually land the plane. You're there with, Principal Wells because, Mr. Jefferson gets arrested because of David. That's part of the interlude there, and, I don't know what happens to Nathan in this timeline. I don't think he, like, anything, I don't know, maybe he does get in trouble. I don't remember. Anyway. So, and then you end up at the art gallery in San Francisco, and this kind of seems like the perfect ending in a sense, because you're there, you finally are happy, and everything's good, and you're talking to people, and you're like, oh yeah, cool, like, let's make a deal, your art is so great, and all this stuff. And, I think I was kind of fooled the first time. I know you said you weren't because you saw the nosebleed and all that, but I was like, I'm starting to give in to the sense that like maybe we made it at this point, But you weren't thinking that, were you? Or were you thinking that? When we got here, what were you thinking? Were you thinking that everything was going to be all right, or no? You still had this sneaking suspicion.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this section's pretty cool though because it's like you get to go around and it's just a moment of calm before it's the calm before the storm, like literally. But you get to talk to people. Everyone's like appreciating your photo. There's a lot of cool photos around too, and a lot of little things you can look at. That's pretty cool. To see your name on the wall. This is the reality where Max gets everything she wants, but then she realizes that everything she wants is not everything she wants without Chloe. When Chloe calls her and she's like, oh god, this fucking storm. Or whatever. And then you realize, hey, I guess I didn't really actually change anything and everything is still fucked. Which I think is kind of what she says when, yeah, there's a lot to look at here, so this guy's probably going to be looking around. But, and then I remember it was like, I was like, you gotta go, man, and you're like, where do I go? And you're like trying to walk out the door. And I'm like, what, are you going to walk back to Arcadia Bay? And you're like, I remember the moment when it clicked in your head. You're like, oh, I got to go into my own photo or whatever on the wall. Yeah, again. Well, that's how it always works in this game. So, and then what's funny is every time you try and do that, like, actually I got interrupted a few times. You only got interrupted once, but like, if you take too long, people will keep interrupting you, and that's like, it's almost like, oh shit, am I not going to be able to go into this photo because people are going to keep fucking interrupting me? But no. You eventually do get into the photo, which brings you back to the moment you took the selfie, and then you, oh, wait. Hold on, let's go back here a little bit. So then you tear up the selfie, and then, but you still end up in the dark room, because, why do you end up in the dark room? I forget about this. Hold on.
I think it was because you did rip up that photo.
Right, I guess because you rip up the photo, you still end up in the dark room. But the one advantage of this timeline where you ripped up the photo is you still got a hold of David Mattson, which ends up being the difference maker to where, actually what's funny is, not funny, but Mr. Jefferson actually ends up burning your journal in this timeline. So now you're really, really fucked. Like, there's no way out of this with your powers or whatever. So it's important that you allied yourself with David there, or like told him about all this, because otherwise there's no way you would have made it out of this and you'd actually be dead. And I think that's a good moment for David too, because he actually gets a chance to do something and really make a difference and whatnot in the story. So you end up back here, and then Mr. Jefferson's saying all the shit like he always does. he likes to monologue because he's the villain, of course. He's got a monologue. He's about to prick you, and then David comes in, but he doesn't necessarily save the day right away. He kind of fucks it up because he doesn't really know what's going to happen. Mr. Jefferson is like ready for any and all eventualities, so you kind of have to figure out what's going on and figure out how to tell David to get around all of his little things. So it's like, David, grab that camera or hit the table, and that doesn't end up working. And it's like you have to like trip this random cord next to you, and that's how David ends up getting the jump on him and Mr. Jefferson, that is, and then hitting his gun away. What did you think about this section? Was it like was it too complicated, or was it like obvious what you had to do? I mean,
obviously, you knew what you had to do, but it's just knowing what you needed to do to get to that point.
And also, you had to try that dialogue option a bunch of times. Like, I guess only like a few of them should work. Like, I think the water one works, and then you're like take a photo or whatever. That one also works. What was the other one? Was like that didn't work. It was like I don't remember what it was, but there was a different one that to put on some music. Wait, but he just did that. So like, does that work? I guess. Let's watch. Let's see if this ends up playing out. Yeah, Banana had to put on music, which like didn't work or whatever. In our playthrough, anyway. That's the beautiful thing about this game. Is you can go so many different ways or whatever. Oh, Dave. Oh, right. Because then he holds you hostage or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So the music doesn't work. So, but yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do there. But eventually you have to get David through. You can get him through with the scar if he gets hit or not. Banana got him through with the scar, so he got hit someplace along the way there. I don't remember specifically how, but you can get him through without that scar. I never really do. What did you think about David and his his little speech there to you, his little moment, his heart to heart with you about everything that's going on, and about well, we'll talk about the choice with Chloe here in a second. What did you think about David and all of this?
Kind of realized that he's just a regular human being.
Yeah.
He's got issues.
He's got issues, but he's a good guy deep down and whatnot.
I just want to say that I did call that he was going to come save the day.
Yeah, you did. I didn't know if that was going to be affected because you kicked him out or whatever, though. Like, I just thought that, like, maybe that would change things, but you did say that, yeah. So, good call on that. But, oh, hey, we never looked at any of these. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Weird. Anyway, so, but what did you think about the choice between choosing to tell him about Chloe or not? And then we'll talk about the consequence of that here in a second. But first, what did you think about the choice between that?
Well, originally I was gonna pick, oh wait, what did I pick?
You picked to tell him the first time. You were honest with him the first time.
I was thinking about lying to him, but I'm like, well, maybe he deserves the truth for once.
Yeah, he does deserve the truth.
But ultimately, he ended up going a little crazy there and kills Mr. Jefferson.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't want him to die. He needs to serve his life in prison or jail or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Jefferson.
Yeah, so I wanted to rewind the time so that way.
Yeah, well, you also said that you didn't want David to take the bust for killing Mr. Jefferson, in case that ended up mattering at all.
Which probably didn't.
It did to the game, but yeah, that could have mattered in his future. So you're good there to be looking out for David too. So I think that's probably the best way is to not tell him, even though that's kind of sucks because he deserves to know the truth. But you notice how you couldn't tell Joyce at all? Like, she just...
Yeah, that was a little weird. You thought that,
Yeah. What did you think about that? You think that sucked that you couldn't tell her? Or how do you think she would have reacted? I mean, we don't know, but...
I mean, I would assume she would have, broken down
in
tears, find out that your only daughter had passed, or, had died, and...
Right. And so, in such a bad way, too. Like, getting shot and all that. And it's like... she would have taken that really hard. So I think that's why you weren't allowed to tell her that, especially in that moment. That would have really destroyed her. And I think it's more important in that moment that she's strong for everyone else, and that's what she's kind of portraying there and holding up and trying to, help everybody out and whatnot. And if you told her that would have just really fucked things up. And at that point, you actually know that, like, hey, I'm going to go and change this anyway, so, none of this is really going to matter. But that also is not a good excuse for not telling Joyce. That would be only more of an excuse to tell Joyce, Like, hey, I fucked up, but I'm going to fix it, so. Not that she would have understood that, but anyway. So yeah, this is the whole David thingy here. Him being a good soldier, but he wasn't a good father. He tried to be, but he failed. But I just think it's really crazy and like kind of, it's pretty emotional too, watching David break down. I didn't know the first time that he was going to kill Mr. Jefferson, but you predicted that. You actually said, oh, Mr. Jefferson's going to get shot or whatever, probably by David. That's what you said, so.
Did I really?
Yeah, you said that, so.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, you expected David to come save you, and then you're like, well, Mr. Jefferson's probably going to either serve his life in prison or get shot. So, I'm like, yeah, I didn't try to, like, coax you and be like, oh, yeah, that's totally true. Like, I was trying to, like, be spoiler-free for you, but you pretty much guessed what was going to happen, so. You're pretty good at that. So, Max takes Mr. Jefferson's keys. She's gonna brave the fucking storm to get to this, and you predicted the thing with Warren in the picture too. It took you a minute. It was funny in the video, like watching you like start to realize, and then you have this like real like moment. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? And you're like, oh, the picture with Warren, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I kind of hinted at that with you. So she calls Warren, and he's like, don't go anywhere. Like I just want you to be safe or whatever. But she braves the whole fucking storm to get over to him. And then, of course, there's this, in the car, we have that voicemail with Nathan, which we talked about, which was really impactful and emotional. I remember that the first time, I was like, oh, wow, like, Nathan, it's just cool, because it's like Nathan, he's like one of the only characters that they didn't really redeem to that point, like, and then that's his kind of moment of redemption or whatnot, so I just thought that was cool how they did that for him. So anyway, then you get to the town there. There's a lot of things you can do there, a lot of people you can save. A lot of people you've met before and some important characters. A lot of the important characters, though, you kind of had your last interaction with at the party. But a few of the other, like, side characters you can save here. Like this trucker that you saw a bunch of times over here. You can save him. You can save Evan, who, like, I only remember interacting with once. Did we ever see that guy other than in the first episode?
Who?
Evan? The guy we saved here in a second? He was the guy in the first episode, like, we looked at his portfolio of, like, pictures or whatever. I don't think we ever saw him other than, like, this, here at the end in this episode. Like, so he's in the first and last episode, and that's it. Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, I'm pretty sure that was the only times we saw this guy. So yeah, you kind of tell him, like, hey, it's not worth dying over to get this shot, like, and he ends up kind of figuring that out and moving on, which is cool. And he's like, you need to move on too. Everyone's like, hey, Max, get the fuck out of here. And you're like, nope, sorry, bitch, I gotta go. Then, of course, there's Alyssa, Max, come, help me, save me. Somebody, come here. And, so you gotta put a plank in front of her. Actually, it's weird because you got this your first time. I don't know how you did that. But, like, usually she's like, I'm not coming, Max. I'm scared or whatever. Then she'll fall and die or whatever. And, like, so you have to, like, rewind and do it a few times to, like, get her to, like, actually, like, come down or whatever. Which is, but of course you and you're perfectionist, you get everything right the first time. So, like, I don't know how you do it, but, so yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you save Alyssa, and then she actually ends up saving you for once, which is kind of a nice little end to her story. You see that saving Alyssa? What the fuck? That's fucked up. This guy's not gonna save Alyssa.
I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. No, I think he does. Yeah, and there's these like pictures of these kids' photos here in this truck. That was kind of sad. It's like, yeah, you know, there's all these main important characters, but there's so many other people who are gonna die in this storm, and like, you just can't do anything about it if if you choose the one way. But we'll get to that later. You know, you saw those pictures, those drawings. Oh,
watching the video.
What about it?
Saw a guy running.
Oh. Well, I don't think you can save him. It's not in the last choices there or whatever. Or wait, who's this? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know what he was doing there with all that. Like, he could have just saved Alyssa then. But anyway, so you can save Alyssa, you can save Trevor, or Trevor. Yeah, Evan. I never remember that guy's name, Evan. I was just portfolio guy, because you only see him in the one episode. But yeah, so you can save them. Then, of course, there's the backpack, which we had to spend a little time looking for. But it's the end of the joke, or the little Easter egg that's like in all the episodes, episode 3 about the cat pics or whatever. It's like the tablet. They're finally apologizing for like taking the tablet of cat pics or whatever. It's like, what is this like random shit in this like really, in this game, like, but it's just like this little background Easter egg. Like, it took like I didn't even know about that until like way later on past when I played the game. So it's just crazy. So now he has to save the trucker again. See, this guy, maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing, but it seems like he knows all the other stuff. But anyway, it's not a big deal. So then you go into the building, and building's on fire. Now, you didn't necessarily get what to do at first, because like you hit the fuse box, then the sprinklers come on, fire goes away, you see that the guy dies, so you rewind, and you're like, okay, fire's still here. I'm just gonna walk through the fire to go save the guy. I'm like, no, that's not.
I got a little confused there.
That's not how it works. So then I'm like, hit the fuse box again, and I'm like, just pay attention, like, look at it, and then you're like, oh, I get it, like, and then you go into the room, and then you save the guy, and then you still tried to walk through the fire again to like, I'm like, no, you can't get it. You gotta like reach through to do the fuse box or whatever. So yeah, I remember this puzzle being a little bit confusing, but it's all based on that principle that you can, like, as long as you're in the room when you rewind time, like, you can be there or whatever. So yeah, you can just save this guy, or I mean, I guess if you don't want to save the guy, you can just walk away right there and he'll just die. But there's a way to save him, so you should save him because you want to save everyone you can. So that's an interesting little puzzle. I don't even know if we talked to that trucker guy, or he's like a fisherman or something.
Fisherman.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever talked to him. Maybe we did once or something. But so yeah, then you go to the 2 whales, and then there's this whole thing where like, it blows up, and you're just like, oh wait, what the fuck happened? Like, and you gotta put sand down. That one took me a few tries to get. I remember when I did it, but you seem to get that like pretty easy. Like, it blew up once, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. You gotta hit this thing and just put the sand there or whatever. Oh, he didn't save the homeless lady. What the fuck? Now, we saved the homeless lady who, did I tell you the theory about the homeless lady?
What?
So, the theory about the homeless lady is that, this is Max in one of the many alternate timelines who's, like, got stuck here, but she's, like, an older Max, and that's why she's like, oh, I've seen Arcadia Bay, like, 1,000 years. Because Max even says that a bunch of times, like, oh, it seems like 1,000 years, 1,000 years. She says that a bunch of times, and people are, like, speculating that, like, she kind of looks like Max and everything, so it's like a Max that got stuck there. So I think it's a pretty cool theory. That's why I was so, like, intent on you going and saving her and whatnot, and then also talking to her a bunch of times just so I could, like, show you that. What do you think about that theory?
I like it.
Yeah.
It kind of puts a little twist to it.
Yeah. Like, it's cool. Like, I don't know. I don't know who else or what else the homeless lady could signify, so, like, I feel like that's the best way to do it. And actually, if she dies, I guess it's more like, oh wow, like, look, Max can't even save all of her alternate selves, you know, or whatnot. But inside the two whales, wow, this guy just went right to talking to Warren. Inside the two whales here, you can talk to, if you saved Frank, if you didn't shoot him or kill him or whatever, he's here. And if you didn't shoot, or not shoot, but if you didn't, like, throw the bone in the street, or there's other ways you can kill Pompidou, he'll be here too. The dog, so he'll be sitting there. Of course, Joyce is here. Joyce and Warren are always here, but those two are kind of optional, so... and I like that they're here, because it gives you another kind of time to really talk to Frank after everything's happened. What did you think about talking to Frank here, and then also what did you think about the choice telling him or not about Rachel, that she's dead, which is appropriate because the song that's playing in the junkyard when you find Rachel. But anyway, what did you think about that?
Well, obviously, I told him.
Yeah, you did right away. So
because you start seeing, like, how he actually is and all that.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be appropriate to tell him the truth.
Right. And you didn't even, like, skimp on the details either. You just, like, you told him about the drugs and about all of that. So, like, and then Frank blames himself about all of that. What did you think about that? Like, that's pretty, it's pretty fucked up that, like, he provided the drugs that would kill Rachel.
But then again, he's only human. How was he supposed to know that, that was going to happen to him?
Right, yeah. But I'm just saying, it's kind of poetic that, like, that happened that way. But he couldn't have known, you're right, so... But he did know, because he's like, oh, I've got this intuition, like, about Nathan and all that, and he's like, I never trusted that guy, Pompidou always hated him, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like... So let's see what happens if you don't tell him about the overdose. Right, so they must have not killed Jefferson either. So, like, if you... Because there's also, if you kill Jefferson, he's, like, mad that Jefferson's dead. Because, like, then he wouldn't be able to kill him. Kind of like Chloe with Nathan when you tell Chloe... Wait, that's in a little bit here. But, yeah. We'll get to that. So, yeah. Anyway, you get a nice moment with Frank here. You get to tell him all about all of this stuff. Or you just get to deny it like this guy's doing. But yeah, then you talk to Joyce, which, like we were saying earlier, you can't even really tell her that, like, Chloe died and all of that. But she's happy that you're here, which is nice. You can have your moment of calm with Pompidou and contemplate shit, sitting there and, like, about how this is all your fault. And then you go and talk to Warren, and same shit. You kind of tell him, yeah, this is my fault. I mean, you actually don't have to take the blame for the storm, but you ended up, like, saying, like, yeah, this is probably my powers that caused this. And you end up kind of finally telling Warren what's going on, you know? So I think that's definitely good, because Warren deserves to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he believes you, because he's a good guy, you know?
He is. He really is.
Right. And then they talk about how your powers are probably why all the birds and the whales and all that shit is dying. It doesn't matter, like, where you got your powers from. It's just something that happened now. And you got to deal with the consequences of that. So then you have the choice to kiss Warren or hug Warren or don't do anything to Warren. And Banana chose to kiss Warren, which ended up, I think, biting him later. Or maybe here's my thing. I think that either it was that screwed you over in the ending, or it was the fact that if you decide to save Chloe or whatever, well, let's see. Yeah, if you decide to save Chloe, maybe that... I don't think that's right, though, because I think if you decide to sacrifice Chloe, that's when the moment should be the most emotional. That's when she would hug you and give you the kiss. But you kissed Warren, so she knew about that, so she didn't kiss you at the end. Just saying. So then you focus on the photo, you go to the photo, you go back to that time right before you were going into the Vortex Club party, and here Chloe is pissed the fuck off. So you have to say the right shit. Even Banana didn't say the right shit to
it was only the first one.
Yeah.
And after that, everything went perfectly smooth.
Yeah, I contextualized it for you. I'm like, she's not gonna care about like Nathan and all of that. She's only gonna listen to the reason that he hurt you because she cares the most about you. And so then from there you kind of use that as your device every time a question would come up. It's like you always made it about you and how you were hurt by this guy, and then she figured that out. So what did you think about this and like trying to get Chloe to listen to reason? Yeah, see there, this guy failed. What did you think about that?
I'm sorry, what now?
About this scene and getting Chloe to like listen to you and listen to reason and whatnot, and everything kind of riding on this as the moment, because if you fuck this up, you go back, you're in the storm or you're in the dark room, and it's all over basically.
Is that what happens?
I guess. I mean, that's what I would guess. Because if you don't get this timeline right here perfectly, either you're gonna end up in the dark room like you were before, and even if you get out of there, you're still gonna die in the storm into two whales. If you get that far, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, they're just kind of going over here how... Oh wait, this is gonna skip ahead, eh? Okay, well, that's where it does skip ahead to, is right when you're at the storm, yeah. They have their nice emotional moment there. And then, like, Max blacks out, and you end up back in the classroom again at the start of the game for, like, the 19 billionth time. Like, what were you thinking when you were back here again for the...
Oh, shit. We gotta redo this all over again.
Like, at this point, it's just like, how many times can we go back to the same goddamn classroom or whatever? And then, what's like, really fucked up is that when you start, like, looking at it, you're here in this classroom, you start looking at it, even if you go into, like, your notebook and stuff, you saw it's, like, all this fucked up shit, and, like, you get all these texts from, like, Pompidou, he's like, give me snacks, bitch, or whatever, like, Nathan, and, like, Rachel Amber texts you, like, oh, yeah, hey, I'll be seeing you soon because you're gonna die, or whatever.
Oh, did you realize that blood's the birds?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to show you before.
I didn't see it with all the birds.
Yeah. So, right, all the birds, like, bash against the window because they're all dying.
Well, you know that they've been using some Windex, right?
Yeah. And so then you can, like, look out the window later too, and you can see all the birds, like millions of birds, just like scattered around the Blackwell campus. But anyway, you get a bunch of texts, like William texts you, all these like dead people and stuff, and like actually Nathan is dead at this point, so it's like, yeah. Which it's just crazy. I remember seeing these the first time, and oh yeah, like Samuel texts you. It's like, how can Samuel text without a phone? All the squirrels can talk to me, but I shouldn't be able to talk to you or whatever. It's just really bizarre and like funny and stupid, messed up shit. All these texts. And then it's like, of course, you have to go and talk to Mr. Jefferson, like always, and you have these like bizarre fucking choices. It's like, I love you, Mr. Jefferson, or our dark, like he'll be like, why don't you stay in your dark room with me forever, or my dark room with me forever? And she'll be like, our dark room, Mr. Jefferson. They're like, you chose the one which I've never actually seen anybody choose, where it's like, thanks for killing Chloe, she sucks, or whatever. I guess I chose my selfies are shit, just because it's like, that's like the least bad of all of the options, like, in terms of like, you know, I don't want to tell him, oh, I love you, Mr. Jefferson, or like, our dark room, Mr. Jefferson, or like, thanks for killing Chloe. It's like, I guess I'll just be self-deprecating on myself, but, so yeah, I don't know, it's just a bunch of bizarre options, and then you go through the door, and you end up, like, in the dorm hallway again. You see, like, Kate standing there in front of her thing. What was your reaction to this part? Like, you going in here, and then, like, what did you think was happening at this point?
God, I couldn't even tell you. There was just so much going on.
Yeah. Like when you went into that door, and you're like, oh, now I'm in the fucking dorm, like, and Kate was standing there in front of, like, her room, actually in front of her own little, like the little altar or whatever they had for in front of her room there. And then she's like, oh, why did you save me, Max, or whatever? Like, if you kill her, she's like, why did you let me die, Max? And then she'll, like, go through the door, and then, like, it's like she's falling, you know, off the building again, or whatever. It's really bizarre. It's crazy. And then there's, like, this whole puzzle where you have to go through all these specific doors. What did you think about this puzzle before, like, I told you about it? You, like, went through a door and you ended up back in the hallway again. Like, what?
It was really confusing. I'm just like, what the hell is
like,
going on?
Like, what? You're probably like, why the fuck? Oh, you know what's interesting? I just noticed, actually, if you, at least when this guy did it, that door that they went through, even though it was this door over here you went through, it said 218 on the door, which is the door you're supposed to go through.
Yeah.
But you need the key or whatever for it. I just thought that was interesting when she actually goes through a different door. But anyway, so you always keep, it's like a time loop. It's like PT, this game where you just keep going through the same hallway again and again and again. But this is way before PT. So the whole point of this first part is you have to find these keys that are near the shower room there, and then you can go through 218. And then every subsequent time you get to be a new, like, not like a new character, but, I mean, you are a few times, but, like, you have, like, the Rachel Amber garb, so then you know you have to go to Rachel Amber's room, and then you have, like, the Victoria Chase. You actually are Victoria Chase at one point, and so you know that you have to go to Victoria's room, and then, it's just interesting. Then you have to keep. What do you think about the giant squirrels or whatever?
It was really, really freaking me out.
Yeah,
man.
really.
Like, honestly though, when you're telling me like, oh, make sure you look through all the windows, I thought something like scary was gonna pop out.
Yeah.
Like, but no, it was just giant squirrels, man. And then
So bizarre.
You made the comment like, yeah, this is just nuts.
Yeah, this is nuts. That's what I said when I saw the giant squirrels. I just thought that was. Those are so funny, and you know, you're photo high and you want to take all the pictures, so I'm like, he's gonna want to find this. What did you think about this part where you're in the hallway from the first part, and then they're playing everything in reverse, like the music is in reverse, and you're like, everybody's going in reverse. Every time you, like, look at something, the writing is in reverse.
God,
You're hearing everything in reverse. Like, what was your thought process on that one?
I didn't have any. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. This is.
What did you think was happening this whole time when Max, like, blacked out? What do you think that was all about? This whole thing.
Dude, I couldn't even tell you. It was just all like madness.
Yeah. What's your theory about this though? Like, what do you think's going on with this?
I couldn't even really tell you. Like, all I could think of is like how badly you fucked up on this game.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the consensus is either A, it's the storm, that you're in the storm and that's somehow like that, but the better consensus is that you're actually inside Max's subconscious right now, trying to, like, reason out a bunch of shit. And the reason I say that is because later, when you see that locker with Warren and all of that, that's not actually Warren's locker. That's, like, your, like, a little fear in the back of your head, like, hey, Warren's kind of, like, stalkery or whatever, and he's got this like bizarre shit in his locker about me. You know, like that's just like her fear in her subconscious. That was kind of the general the theory behind this here. Is maybe that's what's kind of happening. She's sort of in her own head right now, and she calls it a nightmare like later on and stuff. And then there's this part where you're like trying to Metal Gear Solid your way through these like all this bizarre shit. What did you think about this?
This scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What scared you about this?
It's so freaking like dark and ominous.
Yeah. What did you think about like you have like all of the characters here like
they're all trying to get me.
They're all the villain characters, but they also have people like Warren and stuff here, which is interesting. It's like, you know, after that like that locker, it's kind of like, yeah, maybe he is a little creepy in a sense, but like I just love all of their lines too. All of their lines are like, they're scary, sure, but this is more funny to me than scary. A lot of this stuff is like, I think they're kind of meant to be a little humorous, like, but yeah, it's interesting because you sneak your way through here, and then the Warren Locker thing is like totally off the beaten path. You would have like never known to have gone there if you didn't like just know about it. Oh yeah, and of course they've got all of the photos that Mr. Jefferson took of all of his like victims and stuff, just kind of sprued, you know, around here. So yeah, really bizarre sequence here. In the nightmare here, you're sneaking around. There's, as soon as you get to like the locker part, you got like Warren's there, you got like David's there, Samuel's there for whatever reason. I don't know why he's there, but
because he's a little creepy.
Yeah, he's a little creepy. I guess you could potentially think of Samuel as maybe there might have been some kind of theory that he was behind something or something. Also, Principal Wells is here too. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just all, notice all men as well. Max is subconsciously like scared of like men and, you know, that kind of thing. What were you gonna say? You're about to say something.
That's sexist.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm.
Yeah, no, yes, sexist towards men.
Well, sure, but it's like also it just shows. Well, and she has every right to be afraid of fucking men after like goddamn Mr. Jefferson and shit, and Nathan and David to an extent, you know. I think she has the right to that. Anyway, this is like there's like different little parts here from the recreation of the junkyard, which is interesting. Oh yeah, there's a moment of calm. I guess we missed here. I didn't know about that.
Oh, don't worry about the bottles, Chris. They don't mean anything.
They don't mean anything. I think you can set them up for like a photo or something. I don't remember. We'll see. Here in a second. They don't matter. They're less relevant than everything else. What do you care if you missed a bottle photo?
That's not my trophies. You
didn't get all the other photos. I mean,
I got a lot of them though.
You got a lot of them. Yeah, maybe about like 40%. But I've never seen this moment of calm actually. It's interesting. So yeah, just kind of sneaking through here, and eventually you get to the lighthouse, and then you sit down on this bench, and then you're in the snow globe, and you have to watch the part where William dies again. But you get to see young Max. You get to see young Max come back and then burn the photo or whatever. This is actually initially where I saw all of those like crazy texts, so I thought that like this was the only time you could see him. So I don't know what the significance of this is, or like why you're sitting in this snow globe. I guess because the snow globe is always significant, but what did you think about the scene here where you're in the dark room again and you're watching like Mr. Jefferson's taking the pictures of Chloe, and then there's like the part with Chloe and Warren, and then like the part with Chloe and Victoria.
Remember how you even said it like, I was like, oh, why can't I have both of them? And then they said like, you know, oh,
Chloe actually makes a comment here. If you kiss Warren, she's like, she says something about that. Like, it's weird. Like, so like, yeah, there's like little things the whole way. Oh yeah, Nathan's in here too with Chloe. Weird. Ew. Gross. I don't know about that, but I wouldn't ship that. But yeah, she did. She made some kind of comment about you kissing Warren. I'm just like, dude, I knew. You shouldn't have done it. Like, you fucked up.
Yeah, but then you said this could be my subconscious mind.
Yeah. So? Chloe knew somehow. And then Banana's, of course, very into this Victoria Chloe moment here. That's what you said, right? You're like, this is hot or something like that. I don't remember.
Gotta like two girls kissing on each other.
Yeah. Two attractive women. Oh yeah, and then fucking paralyzed Chloe comes out and she's like, fuck you, dude. Basically. Yep, Max is the real storm. Oh yeah, then you end up in the Two Whales Diner bathroom. What'd you think about this? Where, like, you see this keypad, and you go and press the keypad, and then there's like a million numbers everywhere? Do you think, like, oh, I'm gonna have to try every one of these numbers?
No. I knew that. Like, I saw the numbers, and I'm like, well, shit, and then I'm like, I looked in the mirror, and I saw that there was no numbers on the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's where I have to find the real number.
You know, if you, there's an Easter egg where if you put in this number, like, wrong, like, 50 or something times, she'll be like, I'm gonna make these developers pay for all these goddamn, like, number puzzles or whatever. Something like that. Like, it's like one of these little Easter eggs that nobody found for, like, a long time. It's just kind of funny. But, yeah, it's interesting. Also, this is kind of a, I never realized it, but it's kind of, well, I probably realized it before, but this is a reference to the, that little sheet that Nathan had with all the numbers there. But it's like, there's so many numbers, how could any of these be right? You know, you'd have to figure out, there's gotta be some kind of pattern. And of course, when you look in the mirror, you see the 0311.
Guy totally missed it on this video the first time.
So. Yep. But then, you go into the Two Whales Diner. You didn't really spend your time here that much, but, like, I went to each and every, like, one to hear just kind of what they were saying. You kind of went past all of them, and then it just kind of became, like, a jumbled, blah, 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 blah. But you can kind of hear them say, everyone say, like, don't kill me, Max, you know, or, like, all of that. And you know, you probably didn't, like, I don't know, did you realize what was, like, why they were all saying that at the time? Or, like, you did. You understood that, like, you were going to have a choice to, like, you knew that at this point.
I had a small feeling that it was going to come to a big choice.
Yeah. But you knew that you were going to have to, like, sacrifice all the people. You kind of figured that out, or no?
What? That
you were going to have to, like, sacrifice everyone in this choice.
Well,
that you
yeah,
were
of
thinking.
course, like...
Okay. So you pretty much knew where this was all going to begin with. And you still had a hard time with the choice at the end. It's a hard choice.
I wanted to save my punk-ass chick.
Yeah. So what do you think about this other Max? Like, what do you think that's all about? I don't even know what that's all about, but, like, how does this... What is this? Why is she here? Do you have any theories about that?
Why did you deceive us?
She's kind of like the bad side of Max,
the
too.
Anti-Max.
Like, yeah, like, kind of. But I don't know. It's like she's trying to, like, tell you all of the bad things that you were doing, and she's like, oh, you just, like, you just rewinded a bunch of times to make friends and, like, just to become popular. You're so selfish for doing that. Of course, Chloe comes in and saves the day finally, and she's like, don't even fill her head with that bullshit or whatever, so that's nice. Chloe's always got your back when you need her. And then one of the coolest things, which you kind of you spent the first few times there, that you kind of just like went, you just kept walking after that. But
I'll try to make a very dramatic scene.
Yeah, you should have. That's what I was saying.
I did.
Like, well, yeah, but then you walked past like all of the other ones, like the second half of them.
Yeah, because you know, you want to get out of this place, so...
No, you should have spent all the time. You should have sulked in this because of the choice coming up. That's why this was so significant, this moment of memories, is because these are all your, like, big things with Chloe here, a bunch of, like, memories with Chloe, and that's meant to show you, like, the whole Two Whales part is meant to show you, like, all of the people that you would potentially be sacrificing, and then, yeah, you even missed that one. I didn't even see you get that one. Anyway, so, and then this part is meant to show you all of the parts that, all of the good things that Chloe, like, you and Chloe, accomplished and did together, or whatnot. So, it's really setting up the choice for you at this point. Like, hey, you're gonna have to choose Chloe or Arcadia Bay. But this is, like, reminding you, both of those things are reminding you about, like, why both of those things are significant to you. Especially since this game was episodic. It came out, like, months and months apart. So this was really probably pretty necessary at the time to show you, like, all of those moments and remind you of all of those moments. But even just as being near the end of the game, and, like, it's a nice reminder and a nice refresher, and just a nice way to wrap everything up in a nice little bow of all the moments that you guys shared together, I think. What do you think about this section here? The walk through memory lane, like, literally. What do you think? What were you thinking? What were you feeling during this?
Very sympathetic.
Sympathetic, huh?
I think is that the word I'm looking for?
What do you mean by that?
Like, emotional, like...
Yeah. Well, sympathetic would mean you're, like, feeling that for somebody. You're feeling sympathetic for somebody. You know what I mean? You're just feeling emotional, is what you're saying.
Yeah, this is all the memories you have with Chloe.
You're being nostalgic, maybe. Is that maybe more what you mean? Or no? You know what I mean? You know what nostalgia is?
No, I don't.
You don't know what nostalgia is?
No.
Like, it's that feeling you get when you're thinking about something in the past, and you get like a really happy, that warm feeling about the past. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like thinking back to when you were a kid, and it's like, man, that was so much better when I was a kid. Like, those days were better. Like, if I said to you, like, remember, like, it's like how you would feel about, like, Pokemon or something, like Pokemon Gold.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Really, I feel a little, nostalgia. So.
Yeah, like, that's what that's meant to make you feel, is like nostalgic and remind you how important Chloe is and all of that. Because then you get this moment where you have to really make a decision. What's more important to you, Chloe or Arcadia Bay? I mean, what do you think? What was going through your head? Talk me through all of that in your decision making there.
Well, in my head I was like, either I save one person or save many.
Yeah, I mean, that's the choice.
I mean, ultimately I didn't want Chloe to go, but if I didn't let Chloe go, then the whole town was gonna die, and
yeah.
So ultimately, my decision came to Chloe has to die, unfortunately, in order to save the whole town.
Yeah. What about who like? Was it specific people in the town that made you decide that, or was it just the trolley problem? Like, I can save 5 people versus the one person.
The trolley thing.
Yeah. You're just a fucking. You're a. What am I trying to say? yeah, you would rather save the people than not, kind of thing. I'm trying to get to one of these songs here that was in the ending here. So, what did you talk about? What you ended up choosing then, and how you felt about that, and then I don't even know what this guy's gonna choose actually. Do we even see what he's gonna choose yet? What did you choose? Do you think you made the right choice? And then, what did you think about that ending that you got to see? Or we'll get to that in a second. What did you choose, and do you think you made the right choice?
I chose to sacrifice Chloe.
Yep.
And it was
for Arcadia Bay. Yep.
Yeah. Really didn't want to, but it was the right thing to do.
Okay. Why do you think that was the right thing to do?
Because it was.
Yeah, but why? What did sacrificing Chloe gain you or Max or the town? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, what's the what happens because you sacrifice Chloe? What do you mean you don't know? You saw the ending.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
You let Chloe die.
Okay.
Town was saved. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I thought that was gonna happen at some point. So, yes, the town is saved, of course, but what is the impact of you letting Chloe die? Like, okay, so obviously you have to go back through the photo, right?
Yeah.
To you go back to the first day, you let Chloe die, she gets shot, by Nathan. How'd you feel about that when you see Chloe get shot there, and you can't save her this time?
Well,
you couldn't save her this time because it means you know what's gonna happen if you do save her. You're just gonna go through the same thing again, and you have to sit there and watch Max deliberately not save Chloe.
It was a very sad moment, watching your best friend die.
Definitely.
And knowing that you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. I think that's a very impactful scene. I mean, the whole fucking ending is impactful, but, so... Well, you didn't say, do you think you made the right choice, or no? For between Chloe and Arcadia Bay?
I think it was the right choice to let her go.
I mean, that is, like, the canonical choice is to let her go, but, so... I thought it was really sad in that moment that you see Nathan and then he's like shaking her body like, like get up, like he doesn't realize what he's done, and then he does realize what he's done, and he's like really distraught about that. Like that's pretty crazy. Or that's like it's finally his moment to like realize how messed up he is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty impactful. And then he gets arrested because he killed Chloe. And so that ends up happening. You were saying when you were trying to make your choice though, you were like, oh, but what if like Mark Jefferson doesn't get arrested and all this shit? And I was like, don't worry about that because like Max obviously is gonna get get all that taken care of. Like, if she's gonna go back in time and Chloe's gonna die, she's gonna make sure Mark Jefferson fucking gets taken care of. Like there's no worries about that. So so that ends up happening. She gets Mark Jefferson taken care of. You get to see, let's see, I want to see all the little photos, that's what it is, yeah, so Mark Jefferson, obviously Nathan gets arrested, turns to, yeah. Then she's just like comforting everyone, and like Joyce and David sulking in her room. It's kind of sad to see all the Chloe moments turn into like these like depressing moments, but this is what they're really trying to impress upon you is the weight of your decision. I like how Max still has all of her photos too. I think that's nice. That it shows that what we went through isn't not real. It's all still within her, and she's always going to be able to carry that throughout her life. That experience that she had. Even if nobody else is ever going to be able to understand or know about that, she has those memories that she went through all of that in that experience. And then, so, yeah, then you end up seeing her, she's at the lighthouse, she's just kind of sitting there. It's right before Chloe's funeral. What did you think about this whole scene where, I mean, not this specifically, but like after this, where the funeral, and they go to the funeral, and this song is playing?
I cried.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I was crying a little bit.
Nice. Good. Was it not emotional enough for you?
It was emotional. Like, you can see Joyce like about ready to crumble
down.
Oh
my God,
in pain
I know, right?
And sorrow and
dude, you can see it on all of the characters' faces. They did so good. They didn't even have to. There wasn't even any lines. They just, you could see it in the animation, like how fucking how impactful this was to all of the characters and stuff. Like, it's a really emotional ending. And this is, like, of course, I didn't even choose this the first time, so it's like, I thought my ending was kind of rushed, because it is a rushed ending, the other ending. Which just is like, why make an ending that's, like, not an ending, and then, like, an ending that's, like, the real ending? Like, that doesn't seem right. But, yeah, I like how you kind of see all of the characters, and then Warren goes to comfort Max, so there you go. You got the Warren thing in the end there.
But I wanted both.
I know, but you're not gonna get both. And then I like how Frank and Pompadour are there. That's nice in the background. Pompadour has his little dog smile or whatever. You're just like, he's a good boy. And then, yeah, it's a pretty fucked up scene, but also it's the good ending, which is just kind of crazy. Like, this is the good ending. Like, Chloe having to die. They really drive home the impact of that. And I guess they do in the other ending too, but this is like way more dramatic than the other ending in terms of impact. Yep. And then the credits roll. That's it. And that's the game. And then there... Oh, hey, cool. It starts playing right after the other. So then there's the other ending. What did you think about the other ending? Where it's like they're in Arcadia Bay. They're driving out of Arcadia Bay. You see Max. You can see it on her face, like the burden she's gonna have to carry the rest of her life about killing this town, you know, essentially. What do you think about all that and that ending?
Wasn't really expecting it to be that short, obviously.
Yeah, it was like way too short. I mean, that was my first initial impression, because that's the ending I chose.
It really makes you want you to go back in time just to pick Chloe so she can...
Right, yeah, so I had to go and watch the other ending on YouTube, and I'm like, dude, how is this like 15 minutes long? And my ending was like 2 minutes long. This is bullshit. So, like, that, but it's interesting, because that's actually the ending that they took and like spun off into the comic or whatever, which is interesting that they ended up choosing that one. I guess because you already pretty much know what the impact of the other ending, the canon quote unquote ending, is. So yeah, but it's like, is it all worth it? Can you really kill all of these people just to save that one person who was probably supposed to die in the first place. And that's really what the you going back and having to let Chloe die choice really means, is that you're recognizing that you fucked up the timeline by letting her live, and you have to kind of just accept it and let her die and whatnot. There's even like graffiti somewhere that says like "Let me die" or something like that. I think it's like in her room above her bed or something like that. So it's like there's a lot of little hints like that Chloe like is supposed to die, and that's like how that was supposed to play out or whatnot. So yeah, the game kind of builds towards that, and it's like there's other stuff like the Kate thing, which is like a mini version of like the Chloe thing. It's interesting because I kind of like that Kate lived because in your playthrough, because it was like it worked out in some areas, but like some areas it's better if she dies, and then if she dies, it's just showing you that you really can't save everyone, and that's kind of a good lesson for the end of the game, is like, I couldn't save Kate, I can't save Chloe, Chloe's meant to die, and then there you go. If Chloe dies and Kate dies, then you get to save Kate regardless, because in the other timeline
Right.
she's going to be alive again, and it's like you're really saving all of Arcadia Bay at that point. But if you don't do it and you're in that other timeline, everyone just dies, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life, which is pretty fucked up. So yeah, it's not an easy choice, and it's not meant to be an easy choice. I just think they could have added a little more to the other ending where you save Chloe, especially since I don't know, most people, I don't know if most people would choose that. It's a pretty even split on those numbers, but I think that's fair in marketing as well, because it's just like all of those numbers were pretty close. Sometimes they weren't, but like people are always going to go back and choose the other one anyway, so the numbers are skewed in a sense. Like, just because it's 52% and 48%, it's like, that's not really how that is, but I don't know. Either way, the ending is good, and the game is really great. What do you think? Give me your thoughts about the game in general. Like, what do you think about the game now that you've played it as a whole?
I thought it was a really good game.
Yeah.
A lot of heartfelt moments and
Yeah.
stuff.
And stuff. Yeah, for me, like, it's one of those games, like, there's always a game, like, well, not always, but there's usually, like, a game on each hardware generation that, like, blows you away, or just, like, kind of is really shows you what games can do on a whole nother level. And I don't think any game really did that for me this generation, other than Life is Strange. And that's why I think, and this was one of the first ones I actually played for the PS4, so I feel like out of all of the games on PS4 that I played, I think this one's still the most impressive, not only emotionally, but just as a package as a whole, as to what games can do, what games could be. A lot of games want to be cinematic. You have, those David the Cage games, Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human, and all this stuff like that. And none of those games really capture this same feel of really putting you in the shoes of the player and really making an emotional impact. You are Max Caulfield, and you get to go around and you make the connection with these characters. You're the one who makes the decisions and the choices, and those impact the rest of the game. And I think that's really different and unique. And a lot of games have copied that sense, but none of those games the cinematic games have ever really captured the same feel as the Life is Strange. And even the later Life is Strange games, you know, it was like, I mean, Before the Storm and stuff is great. It's like, nothing compares to the original and all of the crazy choices and the impact that all of that made. And so I think that the game is really special because of that, and not only because of that, me showing it to all of my friends, and now even showing it to you all of this time later, is like, every time I got to play this game with somebody, I always saw like how much of an impact the game could still have, and how much it could blow people away just by them. I mean, most of the people I went into it with didn't have any clue what was going to happen. And so it was always a really fresh experience. And always, because you make different choices, and because everyone makes different choices, the game always has little ripples of differentness. And that's what's so cool about the game, is playing it with somebody new. They're going to make their own choices, and they're going to see the game in a whole different light than you saw the game. So it really reflects differently every time. And I think that's really something cool. It's like you'll never get the same exact experience out of the game on multiple repeat playthroughs. So yeah, I think it's just a really incredible game. And for me, that's why it's like a 10 out of 10, and I put it in my my number 10 slot of game this with Before the Storm, because it's a game that really impacted me and blew me away. And I don't always go like super hard into games and like research all these details and whatever, but this game has so much to it that there's so many little details to find and research that I'm still finding stuff and still, you know, figuring out theories and whatnot. So it's just, there's so much there to really dive into and analyze and whatnot, and I think that's really cool. What if you had to give the game a score out of 10, what would you give it?
A perfect 10.
You'd give it a 10 as
Yeah.
well? Wow. Okay. Wow. Shit. Why would you give it a 10?
Because it's just that good.
Yeah. It's just that good. What would you say your favorite part of the game was? What was your favorite episode of the game? Then we'll talk about the other thing. Out of the 5 episodes.
Oh God.
I gotta think about it myself. Let me think. I think for me, episode 4 had the most crazy shit like happening. Now, episode 5 had a lot of crazy shit happening, but I think most of the bulk of the really big and impactful and emotional moments kind of happen. Not that there aren't in the other episodes too, but a lot of what the whole game is leading up to happens in episode 4, and it's also a nice like closing before the closing of the game. So I don't know, I think that would probably be my favorite episode.
I think I would agree with you on that part.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like episode 1 is good to set up the game. Episode 2 is great to really start establishing things, getting the characters going. You know, you get to explore your little time powers with Chloe and stuff. You get to set up like Frank and stuff. Episode 3 is like really getting into it, and then it's like you got a lot of great moments like the pool scene, and then like you kind of get into the whole photo power near the end, and so you're setting up that. But then episode 4 is like the culmination of all of the previous 3 episodes, and they really do a lot with all of that stuff. And then episode 5 like wraps it up in a really bizarre sort of way. So I don't know, I think episode 5 is really great too, but it's like there's just so much like it's really bizarre, episode 5, wouldn't you say? Like,
oh yeah,
like just the nightmare sequence alone is like crazy. I heard that they were supposed to like they really changed it or something. Like apparently originally like Nathan was going to be more of a part of the antagonist, and there's like cut dialogue and stuff about that. But I think I like that they made Mr. Jefferson the antagonist rather than Nathan. And
it played a great story. It played a great story in the game.
Yeah, it made for a great twist and whatnot, and I like that better. I don't like villainizing Nathan. If it was Nathan and like just the Prescott or whatever, like okay, like that would have been all right. But like I think it's better that they did it this way with Mr. Jefferson. There's my PS4 controller right there. That's where it was at this whole time. But yeah, like there's actually there's a Life is Strange movie as well. That's not like it's like a fan made movie, but it's a really good fan made movie. We'll have to watch that sometime. But the thing is, Mr. Jefferson's not really like in the movie at all, which is like really weird. So they kind of changed the story a little bit to like not have him be the villain. So like it's kind of like we got that also through that movie, which is just really interesting. So you'll have to see what I mean. I don't want to spoil that movie either, but it's cool. But yeah, so 10 out of 10 from both of us. That's a high bar, high marks there. I don't know. Do you usually give games 10s, or like how often, or
I don't really give any game a 10.
Yeah. So this is like top tier, like top 10 kind of games for you then.
I mean, the only game I really like that was like 10 was Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
But
do you like this or Kingdom Hearts better? That's up to you. You don't have to say you like this better. Just
Kingdom Hearts, man.
Yeah,
Kingdom
okay.
Hearts.
So this be like a number 2?
Huh? Yeah, this would be like...
Number 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
number 2.
Well, look at that. It rocketed its way up to his number 2 slot. We'll see how he likes Before the Storm. We'll get your reaction on that when we get to that. Probably over the next few weeks, I'm sure, or whatever. But, did the soundtrack end? Is that it? Yep, the soundtrack's over. So that's our cue to also be over. And I don't really have that much else to say. You got anything else to say about Life is Strange?
Other than Life is Strange? No.
Life is strange. And, yeah, so... It's fucking strange. So... 10 out of 10. Until next time, JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games. And I'll see you, and Banana will see you in the next one. JZ